Okay, we are recording. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Do Epic Shit Today podcast. I'm here with Amanda. Hello, Amanda. Hello.
Hello. Hi, Hannah.
Hello. I'm quickly just going to dive in about why I invited you on here because there's so many reasons. And if anyone knows you on the internet, they already know this. But for listeners who have not met you yet, you are an amazing human, first and foremost. And I was originally inspired by you a few years ago for three main things. There's a lot. There's just three I want to capitalize on, then we're going to dive right on in. But one is your transparency. You are always honest, and I think that's such an amazing thing on, social media in a space where transparency and showing struggles isn't the first thing. You're a mom, so you balance, working out, training, having running goals, career, and three little amazing humans. And then on that, you also are a runner who's a badass. You've just PB'd in the Houston Marathon. I think you just PB'd. Yeah, you did. So you're shaking your head. So well-rounded human that is just such an inspiration for moms, runners who want to be a mom, women runners, people that aspire and have lofty, amazing running goals. So in a very quick nutshell, that is one of the reasons, or many reasons, why I wanted to have you on here today.
Oh, well, thank you for having me.
Of course. So we chatted before we hit record, and this is going to be an amazing conversation. I can tell already. And I wanted to say this, I didn't say this earlier. Your hair looks amazing.
Oh, thank you. It's new. Got a little makeover.
I like it. The flip, the flips here, amazing.
These are called curtain bangs, I think. I don't know. They kind of get in the way when you run, so you have to pin them back. I'm getting used to it. I've had short hair for a very long time, so I'm now growing it out.
Okay. Well, it looks amazing. I wanted to just quickly squirrel moment, but I wanted to call that out. So
thank you.
If you don't mind, if we could start back at the beginning. So when did running come into the picture for you?
I don't have a set picture as to when the running came in. I think growing up, I was just more of a tomboy. I liked being outside. I liked playing with friends. And so I always like to say, I feel like running has always been in the picture for everyone as a kid. I think a lot of kids run and play chase and do a lot of things outside of in terms of play. But for me, I did in junior high, you had to pick a sport. So I picked track because it's I feel like everyone can run. The cost is really low. You just need a pair of shoes. I think back then I just wore my Converses. So, I wore my Vans and my Converses because it was fashion back then. I didn't want to wear the clunky sneakers. So you could have catched me during practice. So anyways, I did track. And typically I think in junior high, you do the 1 mile time or whatever. And I just liked doing it. And I was usually one of the first few people to finish. But I didn't take it seriously. I think I thought it was fun. So long story short, I did track in middle school and then my freshman and sophomore year of high school, and then kind of stopped at that because I was just your average runner. I wasn't very competitive. I just like to play around and make new friends and
have fun.
Yeah, have fun. And my parents weren't very into competitive sports, so it wasn't a big deal. And it's not their fault. They just weren't raised that way and they didn't know any better. So that being said, I would run off and on, and iPods were a big thing back then, and I'm really into music. So it was just a fun way to escape after school or on the weekend to just run outside and be in my own little world. And so I would do that on and off up until college. And then it wasn't until I became a mother that I started to work for a fitness company. You might know the name Orange Theory Fitness. And there's a huge franchise here in Houston, and they owned a whole bunch of studios. So the perks of working there is that you got a free membership. So I started to do group fitness classes, and that was my first time doing Orange Theory. I had gained 50 pounds during my pregnancy. So I was obviously wanting to lose a little bit of the weight and just feel more like myself. So I started doing the classes at 5 a.m. before work. And it was just my moment of 45 to 50 minutes of working out. Along the way, I've met some incredible people, and I got stronger and faster. I don't think I was actually trying. It was just really fun. It felt like a dance club at 5 a.m. And back in the day, I just loved dancing at clubs, and I don't even drink. I just like being sober and dancing. So It felt like that. It was really therapeutic, and like I was ready to like conquer the day. Slowly but surely, I was like running fast, and I was like getting stronger. I got muscles in places I had never seen before. And that's kind of where it spiraled. And I was like, wait, I think like I can actually like train for a half marathon and try to get faster times. Because previously I would run half marathons, and I had even ran a marathon before, but like it was literally like just something to do for fun and like finish the finish line with either my boyfriend, now husband at the time, or with my mother. It was always for fun, and it is still for fun, but like I was never chasing a goal back then, like a time goal. And then after I became a mother, I'm like, wait, I'm gonna try to go for like certain times now. So I don't know if that was like a long-winded answer.
Did you ever, when you were younger, and you said the word iPod, and that was
nostalgic? Yeah, I know. That was so cool.
So iPods, for those who are listening who don't know what an iPod is, how would you? It's basically an iPhone without.
It's an iPhone. It's just music.
Yep.
Yeah, there was a little bit of games. Like on the bus, you could play some games.
Yes, and you could use a little dial to change. That's right. I forgot about that. Man, iPod, throwback. Did you? Go ahead.
No, that was it. That was it. And I think back in the day, because there was no phones, like we could just enjoy the run for what it was, like the music, the nature, like look around and not be distracted. Sorry. Yeah,
No, you're good. I was just curious because I also, when I was younger, I didn't like running. I just ran because it was like, oh, go run. It's like when you're younger, it's like one of the first things you learn. Like you walk, you run. So it's very like it's natural, I guess, sort of.
Yeah, no, it is. It's play.
Yeah, totally. Like you chase another person like you were talking about. Did you ever want to try doing running competitively, or just mainly just running for the pure beauty and escape and fun of it?
I mean, like I did the 4x4 and 400s, and I think I was like decent, but I was never fast. I'm like, I just didn't care to like beat other people.
I got you.
Like I don't really have like a competitive bone in my body. And I think now I have the competitive bone, but to like beat myself. Does that make sense?
Totally. Because if you think about what running is, you're beating your time, which is yourself. So you're getting, that sounds terrible, but I mean, like you're getting better and wanting to improve for you. And there's not really anyone else that's in your lane that you're trying to beat.
Correct. Yeah. And I think some of that, like the competitive aspect, I thought it was always like, oh, you have to beat other people in sports. Does that make sense? As a kid, wasn't like, I would rather just be listening to music and like, taking walks.
That's totally fine. Oh my gosh. That's definitely something. I don't think you have to be. I was thrown. That's the reason why I know about it so much. Cause I was like,
turned into the sports world.
Yes. Yeah. Pretty much. But it was also after school care for like after school. What you go and you play sports, and that was what we did. But I definitely could see just the wanting to just enjoy running for what it is, and like playing and music, and if that was more of a draw for you, for sure.
Yeah, and I biked a lot around my neighborhood, so I think sports is just something that took a lot of time, and I don't think my parents could have dedicated that time due to like them being business owners and working so much that it didn't make sense at the time, and that's not their fault. It just wasn't the course, and I think everything happens for a reason.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So look at you now. You know, you're in, you're finding what works for you. So when you were, after you had your first baby, you said you gained some weight and you wanted to feel like yourself. And that was for you getting up and going to Orange Theory at 5 a.m. Was that kind of process of like, okay, I want to feel better for me. I want to, that 5 a.m. alarm goes off, or not even 4:45 if you're at the gym at 5, let's be realistic. Starting that new habit is kind of hard. Do you remember that feeling of like, oh crap, what have I done? Like, or did you have something anchoring yourself to get you out of bed in the morning that was like, here, we're going to do this?
Yeah. It started off at 6 a.m.
Okay.
That I would do the classes, and then I would quickly rush home. I would skip the cool downs. I would get ready. The baby would wake up at like 7. So it was like, I was craving for time. That lasted like, I think 2 weeks until I realized that I needed to do the 5 a.m. classes. And I know sleep is important, and I always stress that, but I think there are some sacrifices that you have to make as a parent. Like some days you're going to get a solid 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Some nights you're just going to get like a shit 5 to 6 hours of sleep. And so I told myself, like, all I need is 6 hours of sleep average. We're going to the classes. We're doing it, because I knew as soon as I would do the workout classes, I would have so much energy to take care of my child for the day, to go to work. And then after work, I could be more present. Like, it was like my moment to just do something for myself for 45 minutes before I had to dedicate my time to my family or to my work or whatever responsibilities. So, yeah.
So the mentality of this class was, it wasn't like, I'm losing weight, I'm trying to get to, this is for me. This class is for me.
Yeah. It was more for me. And I loved like the community aspect. I loved my coaches, who are now my dear friends. I loved the music that they would put on. Like, it was like I said, it was like a mini dance club at 5 a.m. and I would just get to like move. And I think some of it was the competitive aspect with Orange Theory. There's like benchmarks that you had to do. You could beat your previous like challenges. And so that was just something that kind of like grew me forward into like the person that I am today.
So were you, and this is where one of the reasons I went like talking about being active while pregnant, were you active before you had your first baby, or was kind of your Orange Theory postpartum when kind of that lid came off?
The lid came off with Orange Theory. I was kind of active before I got pregnant. I did a lot of Pilates and just like small runs outside, but it was never really consistent. And then I got pregnant, and then like I just stopped working out because like I was scared. I think culturally, a lot of Asians, it's frowned upon to like work out and do like hardcore like working out. There's a lot of like superstitions and myths that I didn't know until after becoming a mom, that my mom like informed me about. It's just like this whole different world I just didn't know. And none of my friends were pregnant or getting pregnant. I was the first of my friends to be pregnant. And I think at the time, social media, like, you didn't see a lot of pregnant people working out. And like, I still to this day don't see a lot of pregnant people working out. Like even when I was at like outside in the world, like I just didn't see anyone. It was weird. I don't know. Well, so anytime I see a pregnant person, I'm like, you go, girl.
Yes, I love that. And that was one of the reasons, I think, because many women out there that are active, play sports, run, and want to be a mom. And I don't know if if I'm speaking to a lot of women who, one day want to be a mom one day and realize, okay, when that happens, I need to dial back and not run and not work out. And that's really not true.
That's fine. But it's fine if you want to stop, though.
Totally. I think for me, it's just, I have so much love for running and movement. I thought I was going to have to sacrifice that when I wanted to have, like, when my husband and I want to have a baby. Because I was curious. I talked to my, like, female doctor, OBGYN, about, like, we want to have a kid, later this year. Do I have to stop running? What does this mean? Because I wanted to be mentally ready.
Correct.
And so I wanted to be ready of like, okay, if I have to stop running for 9 months, I need to be in a place where I can say, okay, I can do that. So I asked these way ahead questions. He's like, no, you actually can do everything you're doing now. He's like, maybe don't do the 100-milers, but like, you can run and you can be active and you can walk and you can lift. And I just didn't know that. So to see you with not baby number 1, but baby number 2, baby number 3, with your belly and like running and being active, it was such a breath of fresh air to be like, holy crap, you don't have to sacrifice one for the other.
Yeah.
So was it your mom who kind of filled you in after baby number 1 that was like, hey, you actually can be active if you want to with baby number 2? Like, how did that look like? What did that look like for you?
So with baby number 1, it was actually my mother who was like, honey, I don't think you should continue working out.
Oh, okay.
It's just not good for the baby. Don't forget to eat for 2. And no shame on her. I just think she also came from a different background of like, this is what moms are supposed to do when they're pregnant. And so she was told that. So it's something she passed along to me. And she got pregnant very young, in her 20, with my brother. So she didn't know any better. I didn't know any better. I took her advice. I took a new job at the time that I got pregnant. It was a job that I just took out of desperation because I had just gotten laid off. So at the time, I was just not happy with my job. I was grateful that I was pregnant. but I had stopped working out because I just, again, like I just didn't know any better, and I didn't know how to navigate active pregnancies. Um, so I just kind of did that, but I felt so defeated at the end of my pregnancy. I said, if I were to get pregnant again, I will do as much as I can to continue being active as long as I'm healthy, the baby's healthy, the doctor says it's okay. And the doctor did say I was fine to work out. I just, like, I didn't know how to navigate it. I think I took like a prenatal Pilates class, and like 2 people showed up. Like, I felt really confused, and I was like, this feels so odd. So I just kind of stopped working. I didn't know any better. It was a weird place. And so when I did become pregnant with my second, and after I gave birth, I was so consistent and disciplined with working out, that I said, I'm going to continue working out with my second baby. And I didn't know I was pregnant until like, I think 9 or 10 weeks.
Okay.
And I normally don't miss periods, but I think I was just in a busy period in my life that like I had missed a period one month. And then the second month I was like, oh shit, like I need to take a test. And this was during COVID. And so it was just like a really crazy time of season, and we weren't trying for a baby, and we got surprised with our middle child, and it was a blessing. But I was able to work out through my first trimester. And then so I just continued and continued and it continued. And I was able to work out until, especially doing Orange Theory. At the time, there's a lot of Orange Theory and like shorter runs outside. And that's what I did. And I think, with my third, I was like, this is going to be my last pregnancy. I'm going to continue working out as I did with my second, but I'm going to throw in some half marathons because I think that's doable. I think in my world, I just wasn't ready for a marathon during a pregnancy. Like that just felt too much for my body, and already having kids, like that, I wasn't willing to commit the time for it. So that's what I did. And I was like, my last hoorah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's no, like, because I think your mom mentioned, not working out when you're pregnant. I've from like over here on the West Coast, like you hear the same thing, like, oh, eat for 2, like, like you should be, and it's like, it's a small baby. Like, there's just so many, not to, crap on wives' tales or myths or just sayings, but you hear things where it's like, okay, you don't actually have to eat for 2. If you don't, you can, if you want to, like, do your thing, but there's not a requirement where it's like, you're pregnant, get ready to eat for a human. Well, for like 1 to 6 months, that human is less than the size of an orange.
I know, it's crazy.
And then I just was blown away because I was asking questions because I was trying to get myself mentally dialed in of like not having to run, not having to eat all this food, and your body just changes as an athlete. Your body's going to change. So then on top of that, to take away habits that help keep you happy and sane was just, but I think there was just this major myth train of all the things that you could and could not do when you were pregnant, and seeing your account and other women's accounts, both having babies and being pregnant and being active with what works for you. As a receiving person who sees that, it's amazing to see.
Yeah.
Because it kind of shatters the negative.
The stigma.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's why I was so scared slightly to share my pregnancy. Because with my second pregnancy, I was being active, but like no one really knew what I was doing. My parents didn't see, because I wasn't really sharing it on social media. Like they knew I was working out. And I think they were like, oh, like Amanda's like actually working out. She looks great. Like she doesn't look as heavy. Not like, they were like, wow, you look different. I was like, right. Like I actually look like myself. I don't look like this huge elephant. Long story short, I think they were kind of like, wow, like Amanda's doing great. Like the baby's healthy. Then the baby came out and they're like, okay, like, they're really old school Asians. So like everything they say is super blunt, and they don't mean to be mean. That's just the way that it comes out. But they're like, wow, your baby's healthy. Like, okay, like great for you, Amanda. And then with my third pregnancy, because I was sharing my pregnancy, sharing my whole, fitness journey online, they were already following along. Like my mom and dad follow me on social media.
Oh,
and so, yeah, they're my number one supporters right now. My dad sometimes is like, Amanda, watch out. Anyways, but with my third pregnancy, I was sharing week by week. So I think it like empowered my mother to like keep encouraging me. She was like, okay, I see Amanda. She is capable. She's mentally capable. She's physically capable. So I think it helped them understand that that's being active during a pregnancy was okay. And it was even like beneficial for their daughter to continue working out. Obviously, like I have proof proof is in the pudding that my kids are here and healthy.
Yeah.
You know, considering that I worked out or didn't work out, like I sometimes struggle sharing my stories because I'm like, good for you, you worked out with your pregnancies. I'm like, but my first one I didn't. And I think that's okay too, that if you can't work out or you just don't have the energy or brain space or whatever circumstances, it's okay too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like as much as I
100%.
kind of regretted not working out, I think everything happens for a reason and you learn along the way. And like, I think you grow from those situations.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think the new thing with this running and being a mom and being pregnant while running, it's the freedom of choice rather than you're pregnant, don't do anything.
Correct.
It's that's more of
The
what it is.
yeah.
Yes.
The empowerment. I think it's the empowerment. And I know being pregnant, I feel fortunate to have had a healthy and uncomplicated pregnancies, and deliver naturally. Because I think for a lot of females, that may not be the case. You know, they might have pelvic issues or a C-section, which requires a longer recovery. So there are a lot of circumstances where I think like I want to spread the awareness, but I always feel like I have to tread lightly because everyone has different circumstances. And I know a lot of people compare and I don't want them to compare, but at the end of the day, like being pregnant is so vulnerable that I understand whether you're considering being pregnant, are pregnant, postpartum, like there are just so many little like factors and variables that like are so different for each and unique mom or female that it's so hard to like share a lot of advice because it is so personal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No, I think that's great.
I think it's very like there's no one way path. It's just there's so many.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree with you 100%. I'm sure. I'm not a mom. I have not been pregnant, but I think when I am a mom someday, I'm letting you know that it's made an impact on me because it's opened the lid of like you don't have to be stagnant and you have the freedom to do what works best for you rather than being told what you can and cannot do.
Yes, exactly. And I always say, listen to your body and do what feels good for you.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. So when did you run your first marathon?
My first marathon was when I was 20.
Okay.
It was a bucket list. I was in college in Austin. And so I ran the Austin Marathon with my mother and my boyfriend, now husband. So we all ran it. It was just like a bucket list. I remember there were pictures of me looking so miserable, probably wanting to like cuss at my mom. And she always tells me you were the most cranky woman I have ever met during that marathon. She's like, you were so cranky. I was so cranky. I didn't train. I was like out of shape. I said, I'm never doing that again. And that's what I stuck to it for like 10 years. And then I turned 30 and I was like, you know what? I'm 30. We're going to do something different.
Yeah.
And because I was like in like the best shape of my life, I was like, let's do another marathon. So I ran my second marathon when I was 30. I was almost 2 years postpartum with my second kid.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And you had a great time on that second one.
I ran a 3:27 and I felt like still a newbie. A year prior, I think I joined a running group and I learned so much. I learned about what like the Boston Marathon was, like all the world majors. I learned about like Boston qualifying and like how to pace yourself. I learned about a handheld. I learned a lot of things from my running group. And so I just was like, okay, well, let's run the marathon, but let's see if we can beat you because apparently it's a thing with this running phenomenon. So I did that, just learned from my friends and finagled a training plan that I found on the running club. They're like, yeah, do this, but I wouldn't recommend it because I think you peaked at like 45 miles.
Oh.
And they were like, I peaked at 45 and they were like, wow, that's really low. And I was like, that's all I can commit.
Right. What works for you? I mean,
and I did. It worked for me. And I still wanted to strength train too. And regarding a time commitment, like I didn't want to peak anymore, knowing that like I was still a newbie runner and I still wanted to strength train. And like
you also had 2 kids.
Yeah, I had 2 kids and with a job, like I think at the time I was in an office job and then transitioning to a new job that was remote. I was in between that when I was training. Yeah.
Okay. So
So
for on that journey, do you have any advice for moms who, or just anyone that wants to try their, like go for a marathon? What's a good tip that you have if you've got one? It could be for moms or for someone that doesn't have a kid.
I would, I'm just going to be like maybe 2 or 3 tips.
Okay.
I would say be consistent, but be okay with it not going on track. Like be ready to pivot. Does that
Okay.
mean, yeah.
Totally.
Be consistent, get ready to pivot, and don't neglect strength training, especially females.
Okay.
You know,
Okay. Yeah.
our bones are getting fragile. We're not getting any younger.
No, we're not. It's just I don't know about you, but like the getting I have such a hard time with strength training. It is I'm so disciplined at everything else, food, sleep, like so disciplined, and then it comes to strength training, I'm just like all the discipline goes out the window. I'm like, I hate it. But I always leaving feeling so strong and
Yeah.
empowered. But I gotta figure out how to get my mind right about strength training because I am just not interested.
I think because I like go on articles and I read about like how our bones are deteriorating, and I'm like,
yeah,
we're
that'll do
getting,
it.
yeah.
That'll do it.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, I don't want to be this fragile old lady. Like, I want to be able to like be a really healthy grandparent that can like pick up their grandkids. You know, that's where like my goal is at the end of the day. Like, if my kids decide to have kids, I want to be like that fun grandparent that like can still like carry them and like throw them around like a potato. Yeah, you know, that's what I do to my kids right now. So
I love that. Do you mind me asking how old you are? How old are you?
I am 32, about to turn 33 in July.
Okay, because you're just like radiating, so I just had to ask.
Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. So another question for you. I have lots of questions, but you have this amazing sense of energy. Like I can see it. We're talking right now. Like you bring this energy to your conversations, to your online presence. Where do you think that energy comes from?
I don't know. I feel like I've always been really high energy. Like I'm go, go, go. I don't like to be still unless like my battery is drained. Typically when I'm with the kids all day, I just want to sit on the couch and do absolutely nothing and hide in a corner. But for the most part, I would say, and I think my family and friends can vouch that I've always been like pretty high energy. They're like, calm down. And I'm like, but out of that, my parents and my brother, I have one brother, they're pretty high energy and like.
Okay, so maybe it's genetic.
I think it's maybe I don't know. Or like we all vibe together, but out of all of my family members, I think I have the least energy, if that says anything.
Holy crap, that's impressive.
Yeah.
So I know now you're at a really interesting point in your life. There was a time though when you were having to commute pretty heavily, balancing training, balancing a baby at home and a newborn. If you're okay talking about it, because I think was that a difficult time?
That was, yeah.
Can you talk about that?
Yeah,
that sounded so interesting.
Yes, I worked for a hospital, and it was during like the end of COVID. But I would have to commute to work for like an hour and a half there and on the way back. So I would spend like roughly 2 to 3 hours. And I do remember when I signed the contract, like I said, I would like to leave work at 3 p.m. and I would be happy to log on when I got home. But I wanted to leave at 3 p.m. so that I could pick up my child, avoid some of the heavy traffic coming home, because I lived out in the suburbs and the office was in the city. So that was in the agreement, but that put me in like a really hard position because I would leave early knowing that my other coworkers were still there. So a lot of the times I would take calls like driving or as soon as I came home. Long story short, it was a really toxic just job and environment, and I loved my coworkers. It was just not what I needed at that time. So I luckily one of my coworkers put me in touch with what do you call it, a headhunter, and the headhunter was like, hey, we have this like healthcare recruiting company. They're based out of California. It's remote. It's similar to what you're currently doing now, or you have the expertise. Would you be interested? I said, sure, why not? And so I applied, and I ended up getting the job. So I was only at that hospital where I worked at, where I had to commute for like, I think 6 or 7 months before. I knew very early on, I think like the first few weeks, I was like red flags all around. it wasn't what I wanted.
So I asked that because I read on your website that was kind of where you got, within that kind of darker, struggling time, that's where you kind of found the light to post some of your dancing videos and your videos of you running. Like that's where I was going with this. I wasn't about to like go this like dark hole. I was just trying to get to understand what, like, in that darker place, you were able to kind of get this idea, or that was what kind of the click for you, where you started posting videos of you dancing and higher energy. And I wanted to know more about that.
Correct. Yes. So this is a tricky one, and I don't want to throw any of my employers under the bus. But after I had my second baby, I was not happy with how they dealt with the, what do you call it, paid maternity leave. I wasn't happy. They didn't offer any. It was unpaid maternity leave. They had a whole bunch of employees. A lot of them were parents. I tried to speak up about it when I was pregnant, but I was in a rough spot. So I said, I'll just throw it under the rug, or whatever the expression is. So I had the baby. And then a couple months later, I had shared my experience postpartum about like my unpaid maternity leave with all of my jobs when I was pregnant with my first and my second. I shared it on my own personal Instagram, on my stories. I wasn't, at the time, I only had like 1,000 of my friends, like just my friends. My account was public. So I shared certain screenshots, blocked out names, shared that I was unpaid. This is what it is. I went back to work with my first and second around 9 to 10 weeks with both of my first and my second. Long story short, I shared it. Someone caught wind of it. The next day, I was pulled into HR. And they're like, well, first my boss had a discussion with me. Sorry. She had a discussion with me. It didn't end so well. She was not my original boss that had hired me. And we ended up kind of being in a dispute. And I knew as soon as I left that was probably the end of my job there. The next day, I went home. I transferred everything that I needed to my hard drive because I was like, this was not a good dispute. I had tried to tell her, like, this is really not what I think you guys should be doing as a health and fitness company. Like, you obviously employ a whole bunch of parents. Some are even pregnant. I just think there should be some type of compensation, especially since I've been with the company for 2 years, and even your other employees, they weren't happy with what they had to hear. And I was like, I just shared my own personal experiences on my own personal Instagram. I didn't share any names, employee names. It was all blanked out. Tell me exactly what I did wrong. And so they weren't happy with my answers, and it is what it is. I'm happy that I said what I needed to say. The next day, HR let me go. So that was the first job I've ever been fired from.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I left with like a vengeance of like, kind of like that fuck you mentality. And I'm normally a very positive person, but that riled me. So I think but the good thing is I think it kind of riled me because I knew I was about to get a job offer from the hospital that I ended up commuting to. So I think I just wanted to like fire all cylinders at that point. I think I was just really like, I think so much pressure had been put into me that I just wanted to like blow up. And that sounds so bad to say, but I'm just so unhappy with the way that things are handled in the United States regarding like maternity leave or paternity leave for parents as a whole. Like, you want us to have kids and like keep the world going, but you do nothing to support us. Long story short, I left that job, moved into the hospital job, and then I was unhappy with that. But because I was training for the marathon, I thought, hey, let me start sharing my fitness journey online. And at the time, I was training for, I think, a half marathon. And so I started to share my journey there, like bits and pieces. And it was only to my friends, because none of my friends really understood like what I was doing with fitness and running, because I was doing social media for work. My own social personal presence was never really a thing. Like, it was mostly like my kids. So I thought, well, let me just share my fitness journey to like my friends to understand what I'm doing. So I started to do that. And then I soon realized like there was a gap missing. At the time, I think it was maybe 2021, 2022. I was like, there's not a lot of females on the fitness space, specifically moms that are Asian with like multiple kids that are working a corporate job. So I was like, well, how can I do this? And so I tried. It was kind of like a half-assed attempt because life gets in the way and work was really busy.
Yeah.
So I would post here and there, and it was mostly for a fun creative outlet because when I was working at the hospital, my role wasn't specifically social media, which normally my roles are. So I thought it would be a fun new way to like play with reels because I think reels had come at that time, and I was like, let me like just understand because the landscape of social media changes so much that like if you're not in it, you don't know what it is. So
Mm-hmm.
um, I was doing that while training for a half. And then that was just kind of where it came out of. And I think I also wanted to make friends on the online space because none of my friends are runners. And so like, I don't ever want to talk running about them because they don't care.
Yeah,
And that's
that's
not their
fine.
fault. Like they care, but like they don't,
Yeah.
you can't really have like a two-way conversation. And so I just wanted to make some like-minded friends, and I would try to find like people in Houston specifically. Or if I went to a race, I would like, see if they would use the same hashtag as like Houston Half Marathon. I would click on the hashtag and like all of their stuff and start following them and just make like friends in the Houston running space. So that's kind of like one of the reasons I kind of wanted to do that too, just to make some internet friends, to share my little bits and pieces of fitness journey online. And then that kind of like trickled out and started to make like friends outside of Houston. And then I eventually uh, started documenting my marathon journey, but it was never consistent. I think it was February of 2023 that my husband was like, if you kind of want to do this, like you need to be posting every day. And I was like, no, that's too much. And he was like, no, like send it, like just ship it. And he's a developer, so he's like, just ship it.
Nice.
It doesn't
Deploy it.
deploy it. He was like, stop analyzing things, because I think when you work in the social media world, you like super analyze everything and everything gets reviewed and you want to make things look a certain way. He was like, just ship it. Like, who cares? You only have like 1,500 followers. They're really your friends. Like, just go for it. And so that's what I did. I think every other day I would post just my running journey. And I had finished my marathon. So like at this time, I wasn't training for a marathon. I was just sharing like my daily runs. And that was in February 2023. It wasn't until like 2 months later, I think one of my older videos somehow I don't know. I just remember going on a plane in Mexico for like our anniversary. I got off the plane. It was like, pew, 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 pew. My whole phone went off. Like one of my videos went like viral and I got a whole bunch of followers that night. And so like it just kind of spiraled out of there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
I don't
always
know.
That's amazing because I think a lot of the positivity that we're seeking for, we end up producing ourselves. Like you get to a point, like I'm that way with work right now, with my personal work. Like, and it's one reason why this podcast started was I was searching for positivity for a creative outlet. And it sounds kind of like something for you, like with work being really heavy, you wanting to make more friends, find a positive, people or outreach or community. You did that through online. So I just
Yeah.
think it's really cool that sometimes these darker, quote unquote, places is where we actually produce our own light, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no. Yeah. Yeah. I think that was it. Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
I'm just like blown away by you because a mom, full-time job, training, there's just a lot going on. How the hell do you balance this?
I don't think it's ever balanced. It's a juggling act.
Okay.
Um, I think I'm very fortunate to have a partner, to have both parents who help out a lot, and both of our parents live in the same area that we live in, um, and that has helped. And it takes a village. I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to sugarcoat it. I think I'm fortunate to have a village because I know for certain people that may not be the case. But sometimes I think you're just in a constant go 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 phase. I think sometimes you have to like make those like sacrifices, whether that's waking up early or even like time management. Like I remember at that time, like if I couldn't wake up early for whatever reason, whether I didn't get enough sleep, the kid woke up early, I had an early work call, like I would try to squeeze it in during like the lunch break, like a quick
Mm-hmm.
run or a workout, or like after work. I knew that like if I could leave 30 minutes early, 30 minutes was better than nothing. Like I could squeeze in a quick 30-minute run or workout. And I always say like try to negotiate. I do a lot of negotiating with myself. It's like 20 minutes is enough, 30 minutes is enough. It doesn't need to be an hour. Or like, yeah, you might be tired, but like, get up and go. Like, once you start moving, your body, like, especially if you do it a lot, like, you may be tired at like 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock, but like, once you start moving, like, you're going to thank yourself later in the day that you did it. And I say it's like brushing your teeth. Like, the more you can do something, it's like routine to like do a certain thing.
Yeah. I agree with you. If you do more things, how do I want to put this? Like, and this not necessarily hard is not the right word. If you do, like, if your level of hard is here and you do continue to do hard things, it raises the bar of what you can do. And if you keep doing that, and I think when you, maybe not hard isn't the right word, but just negotiating with yourself or taking what you can, and looking for that, like, I feel like you can start to level up. Just, it might not be like the bigger blocks that you see where it's like, I'm in the gym for 3 hours, but like 30 minutes, you're like, you talk about 30 minutes is better than nothing. And it's what I've got.
Yeah. Some days are gonna feel really unbalanced, and some days might feel a little bit more balanced. It's like some days I'd be like, there's, when I had 2 kids, it was like, there's no way we can have a third.
And here you are.
And then we have the third. But definitely, I'm like, some days we can have a fourth. I'm like, absolutely not. We're done. Some days I'm like, take them back.
Oh man, that's awesome. So recently, so you said you BQ'd at, was it 327? Was your, and then
my
you just got
second marathon.
Yeah, and then you just got a 316.
Yeah.
After your third pregnancy. So
I know.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Because that's awesome. That was so inspirational to see. What did that training look like for you? Was it different coming back from a third kid? Was it more like, walk me through that?
Yeah, I think I'm self-coached. I think I'm in a stage of my life where I just want to like teach myself and learn as much as I can before I want to commit with a coach. I think that's partly fun for me. I'd love to hire a run coach one day. Who knows if it'll be like now. But from that 327, I was almost 2 years postpartum with my second kid. And with my 316, I was 10 months postpartum with my third kid. So that's like knocking off 11 minutes. But like, I was also like more fresh postpartum than
more fresh.
I don't know how to say it.
That's amazing.
So my training plan, I used my old training plan, but I tweaked it a little because I knew I still wanted to strength train, but I knew that I needed to incorporate a few things. I knew that I needed a little bit more mileage. So I ended up peaking at 54 miles versus the 45 that I did with the 327.
Okay.
So I increased my mileage a little bit more, and I put in a little bit more speed work. I was previously with my long runs, I had never incorporated speed workouts in it, and putting some of the speed work with my longer runs, it was like a huge confident booster and like made me realize like I could hit my goal time. Yeah. And I also was trying to come back with a vengeance because I BQ'd with a 327, but I didn't make the cutoff.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, I want to make the cutoff this time. And it was I think right now my age gender thing is a 325. It used to be a 330. Now it's a 325. So okay. I needed like more cushion. So I hopefully a 316 gets me in a cushion. If not, I don't know.
I think so.
If not, then I'm screwed and I'll just try again.
I honestly still, being in the running world for as long as I have been, I still am like blown away with how the BQs work, because I just like, you think you get it and then, because the running community gets faster. Everyone gets faster. So it's like, oh, I hit my time, and it's like, oh, no, you didn't. And it's the only race that does that.
I remember when I did the 327, I was like, yeah, I'm going to Boston. And then I got pregnant, and I'm like, well, maybe if I do get into Boston, I can just defer. And then they came out with the cutoff times. I'm like, well, hell, I got to try again. Yeah, it doesn't matter anyways.
Oh my gosh. So when you talk about incorporating speed work into your long runs, do you mean like 5-minute or 5-mile warm up, and then like, a certain pace for a quarter of a mile, and then backing off, like doing like literally a speed work into your long run? Jeez.
Correct. Yeah. I would do like a couple miles of warm up, and then I would do like a couple miles of marathon pace, and then do a mile at just like easy, and then back into marathon pace for a couple more miles, and then back. Okay. It was like a confident booster. And I knew that I could hit the paces. I just had never trained like that before. And I knew I could. So I'm thankful for that. But that was something that had helped me like keep in pace and not go too hot. Because I think oftentimes for me, and I know a lot of runners, we go off hot too fast. And that's what I did with the 327. And I knew with my 327, I could have gone faster. I was on pace to do faster. And these are things I've learned as a runner. And I still feel like I'm like a new runner, but I had never worn my race shoes for longer runs, usually for like speed workouts. And I had never gotten my feet measured. So around like mile 16, 18, my toes like were, I don't know what happened. My toes were just like not it. My toenails felt like they were hurting every time they pushed. And after mile 16, 18, like my tolerance to pain is really, really low. And I was like, my body, it's not going. And then I remember after the race, I had crossed the finish line in pain, I had my mom take off my shoes, and she's like, honey, number one, you forgot to cut your toenails. They were disgusting. They were long. Like, I don't get pedicures often. I get them like once a year. I don't know. I was dumb. They were too long. They were bruised up. And then like I went to Fleet Feet the next day. I got my feet measured. They're like, yeah, one feet's 6.5. The other one's 6.8. I was wearing a 6.5 on both of my shoes.
Oh, interesting. So you have one foot that's a bit larger than the other?
Yeah. I mean, they did like a scan. I don't know if it's like completely accurate, but the fact that like one feet was 6.5 and the other one was 6.8, and I was wearing a race shoe that was 6.5 was like the dumbest decision. So now I tell people to size up.
Mm-hmm. Do you go one full size up?
Depends on the brand.
Okay.
And but typically
I go one full.
One full.
Mm-hmm.
Certain brands like Saucony's, I go one full, but usually like Nike, I do 0.5 up.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think also too, if like you have cushiony shoes, that also, like I wear, my bread and butter is the Asics Gel Nimbus.
Uh-huh.
And I love them because they're cushiony, but they also have a great heel drop for my Achilles. But if you don't size up, that cushion is like, the first few weeks you're running it, so your toenails will be like black and blue. So I always like, size up.
Size up, everybody. That's what I tell people. I'm like, size up or just go get fitted. Go get fitted.
That's good too.
Because they just know. You don't know, they know, you know?
Exactly.
It's free.
It is free. Usually you walk out of there with shoes though. So
yeah.
I think they kind of know.
I think that's why I've always been scared to go inside for a fitting, because I knew that can I get fitted and then leave? You can't do that.
Yeah,
I mean, you can, but
it's frowned upon. Sort of. But you could still do that if you want to. So after you got your 316, did you do anything to celebrate? Like, you just had a third baby, you just PB'd. Was it like, was there a moment where you're like, oh, I knew I had this inside me the whole time? Or you were just like, were you amazed with yourself?
I think I was amazed. I think my initial goal when I was like freshly postpartum was a 320. I said 320. And then as I got closer to the marathon, I was like, maybe a 315. Maybe I have a 315 in me. But I'd be happy with a 315, 320, but we're going to be smart and we're going to pace ourselves through the race. And if we have energy at the end, like, send it. I just wanted to be smart and like conservative. Like, I'm not going to fuck this up because we put way too many weeks of training in for this. So I was very happy. I crossed that finish line, no pain, all smiles. And part of me knows that there's like still more in me. Cause like when I do the math, like the 327, almost 2 years postpartum, 1 year, not even 1 year postpartum, and a 316, I'm like, the next marathon, who knows? Knock on wood, you know, obviously there's a lot of things that could come from now to January 2026, but yeah.
Okay. That's awesome. That's so awesome. I like to ask that question now because I'm also trying to incorporate the celebration and like recognizing the work that you've just put in, like for myself personally. So I've been asking people that question more often now. Like, how did you celebrate? How do you feel? So
celebrate. Oh, I don't know. I celebrated by, I think we ate wings that night.
Oh, that's a great celebration.
Yeah,
that's a great celebration.
Definitely ate wings.
Okay. Oh, that's amazing. I'm just picturing just like the post race Amanda with wings, 3 kids, 316, you know.
Oh, the thing is, we don't do this often, but normally we have dinner as a family. But like, there are moments where like, if me and my husband have a really hard day, we'll like feed the kids, put them off to bed, and then we'll have like a separate dinner on the couch together. You know?
Yeah, I could see that.
Was that what
that was?
That was it. That was it. Oh, yeah. Okay. We I think we Uber Eats, and we don't normally Uber Eats, but I was like, we are Uber eating tonight.
Uber eating some wings. That's how you celebrate. That's awesome. So looking back at like the 20-year-old you know, post 3 kids, almost 32. You said you're 32? So 12 years later, from what you've shared, your love for running has kind of grown into something that's opened doors for you in one regard. And like for this social media and also racing, do you see running as, well, I guess let me just rephrase. What is running to you? Is it still the younger girl with the iPod, still enjoying listening to music? Do you see it as fun or what? Yeah. Okay.
That's I think that's how I always will view running, as like a fun way to just like move my body and escape. I get the runners that like don't listen to music. No, I need to like listen to music, especially if I'm having like solo runs. Like that is my time to like, move and groove. I always say move and groove. And like if I'm doing a group run, normally I don't have music with me and I get to talk, but that's the same version of me when I did running as a kid in track. Like I was just there to like chit chat and yap and like have a good time. So that's also how like it's just like another form of play. And I think as a mother, it's just like I see my kids playing and running. It's just like an adult version of play for me, except sometimes like I might want to do harder things and chase some faster times, but you know, there's a time and a place for that, and I'm not in any rush to like keep chasing these things. If it comes, it happens, but I won't beat myself up over it.
Yeah. I love that. That's an amazing perspective.
Yeah.
That's awesome. It depends on the day for me with music. Sometimes, like if I'm in, like, cause I work from home and I'm in meetings all day, sometimes I just need the quiet.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But I get what you're saying. There is something where like you just put on a track and cause I'll dance while I run in public.
Yeah.
Like I do not
sing, dance, the whole shebang.
You know that? Have you seen Friends?
I'm not a vivid Friends, but I know Friends. Okay. Yeah.
There's an episode where like Phoebe's like, we're just running, and she looks like a freaking chicken. Like that's kind of how I picture myself when I dance. Because I don't know, like I think that's a great perspective you bring about. It's supposed to be fun.
Yeah, it's really fun. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So, what is one thing you would want listeners to know about you?
You know, I thought long and hard about this question, and it was hard for me to say. And I just don't think I don't have it figured out. I don't know everything. I think sometimes being on the social media space, it may look like someone has it figured out. But I don't have it figured out. Nobody has it figured out. And I think that's kind of like the fun and exciting part of just like learning. I don't know. Sometimes you feel like I just don't have it figured out. And to some degree I do, and some degrees I don't, but I don't think we should like always have it figured out, because that's not what life is supposed to be. It's supposed to be like more spontaneous and like kind of like ad hoc, and like you have to be ready for like the unexpected to be thrown your way. Is like, it's not supposed to be perfect.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And also perfect is boring. I always tell my kids this. I'm like, I would rather us be weird than quote unquote like normal and boring. Like, because sometimes like I'll walk out, or he'll walk out and like his hair's all crazy and he's like, oh, my hair looks so weird. And I'm like, your hair looks cool. Like, it's okay. Like, let it be crazy. Maybe we need a brush, but like today it can be crazy.
Maybe we need a brush.
Maybe tomorrow. And he'll try to like wipe it down. I'm like, just let it be.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that's bad parenting too. I don't
No, I think parenting is your own journey. I probably do the same thing. I'm sure. And I picture I have like little Grommer surfer babies or something that running. Their hair. Here's the thing. My hair looks like shit. So our kids' hair will probably look like, not like feral, but you know,
just some volume.
Some volume.
Some volume.
There was a brush in there. Maybe sometime this week.
Yeah. And I think that's something I have to learn. I think I have a very like type A personality, and I think since having kids, they've like lowered me down to be like type B, which I appreciate. And so I think I'm just learning that like I don't always have to like control everything. So just like let go, like breathe.
I got you.
Like just have fun with it. And I think sometimes the kids like put in perspective that like, take it easy, like stop being so like anxious and like things aren't in your control. Sure, you can control some things, but there's just some things you just cannot control, and that's okay too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well said. I love
Yeah.
that. Like the purpose of life is not to have it all figured out.
Yeah.
It really is so true.
Yeah. And I think
So
sometimes
true.
even in the most unexpected ways, really good things happen too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Preach it.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay. So rapid fire questions.
Yeah. Go for it.
Okay, here we go. What is a song of yours that instantly puts you in a good mood?
There's so many, but for me, Levels by Avicii.
Ooh. Okay.
I used to request that all the time in the clubs. So anytime it comes on in the car, when I'm on a run, when I'm in a bad mood, when I'm doing laundry. Yeah, no. That's it.
Amazing.
My husband's like, this used to be a great song until you ruined it for all of us.
Oh my god. I do think it's funny when you have like songs that you used to listen in the club like in college that come on when like you're on your hard run and you're like, oh, how the tables have turned. Full circle moment.
Oh, all the time. Yeah, no. Yeah. In the clubs.
Okay. That's a great song. Okay. What does your ideal breakfast look like?
Oh, it's so simple and boring. Just like scrambled eggs, toast, and some fruit, cup of coffee. If we're feeling fancy, like some thick bacon.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty damn good. That's a great breakfast.
Just so simple, got carbs, protein, fruit. Easy to cook.
That's right. I will say I'm vegan, but there are times where I do miss the simplicity of eggs.
Well,
no, not bacon anymore.
Oh,
eggs.
Eggs are expensive, so it's okay.
Okay. They're hitting like the West Coast where it's like take one is all like the signs, and it's like okay, all right. They're like all caps, underlined.
That is the thing over there. Yeah.
Okay.
Hopefully it doesn't come to Texas.
It's over here, like right now, where there's my husband eats eggs, and it's like on like our Trader Joe's or take one. All like it's like, oh shit, okay, all right, taking one. Okay, so this question is because I know that you cook a lot. You are very passionate about cooking, and what you cook looks beautiful, by the way. Like,
oh, thank you.
No problem. So, what is one of your? Well, let me back up. If you could cook with anyone, famous, family, friends, anyone would be your co-chef for a meal, who would that be?
It would be Anthony Bourdain, and I would probably be his sous chef, and he would be the chef because like he'd probably be like, get the fuck out of the kitchen. R.I.P. Anthony Bourdain.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Okay. Yeah, we used to watch him. My mom and I would watch him on TV all the time.
Yes.
He's amazing. Amazing. Okay, dream race.
Dream race. Hard to say because any race is probably a dream race that I haven't ran before, but fair. I would love to do the world, all of the world marathons.
Okay.
Sometime before I die. So obviously no rush. I mean, ideally I would love to do it before I'm like 40.
Mm-hmm.
But again, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. Just before I die.
I like it.
And also,
because you've done Boston or not yet?
I haven't. No, not yet.
Okay, so you get to do Boston.
Hopefully.
If
the cutoff times.
Okay, so have you done any of the majors?
No.
Okay, I haven't either. No. So you have to tell me. Okay.
Yeah.
I love that. That's a great goal.
I've only ever done Austin Marathon and then 2 of the Houston marathons. So I've only done 3 marathons, yeah.
And Texas located. Oh, this is
nice.
I hope.
I know.
All right, more energy into this Boston one. We need to
manifest
put more
it.
I love it. Okay, mom question. What is the biggest mom/parent tip that you've got? You could narrow it down to one. That's a big old question.
You can do it all, but not all at the same time. Because we can have, goals and dreams, but they might not happen all at the same time. So like being a little bit more practical, but within reason, like the sky's the limit. Take it day by day.
I like it.
No, there's so many.
I like it. That's a great
Yeah.
one. Great. So you don't have to take, it's not all or nothing. It's just,
Yeah.
it will come.
It
Okay.
will come.
All right. Last question. And I ask everyone this question. What are 3 things that you're grateful for?
The ability to move my body.
Mm.
That, my family and friends, loving to pieces, and the ability to love. The ability to love.
Oh, no one's ever said that.
The ability to love. Because I
so
like to be
good.
loved. We want people to feel loved. And I think people often forget to say certain things that, kindness goes a really long way. I always say this with my kids. You have to be kind. And when I die, I want you to be your goal on this planet is to be a kind human.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. I think every parent just wants to raise kind humans.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as a society, we forget to be kind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
No one said that one before. That's a great one. Well, that's the podcast.
Oh, well, thanks, Santa, for having me. This was very fun. My first podcast too.
I feel honored. Truly.
I feel honored.
Okay, I'll stop hitting record here. Let's see.